welcome to one more board game show. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at Villains and Vigilantes, the card game. Villains and Vigilantes, the card game, is a 2 to 4 player card game. Plays in around 60 minutes. The game is designed by Ben Swainbank and published by Game Salute and Superhuman Games. Some of you may know the Villains and Vigilantes brand from the RPG, which came out way back in the day. So, what's this game all about? In a game, players will either take on the role of the villain or the vigilantes, or otherwise known as heroes, and you will battle it out throughout the city. The first player to get to a certain amount of mojo or points is declared the winner. Gameplay is broken down into 3 phases: the ready phase, the action phase, and the swipe phase. In the ready phase, players are going to discard cards from their hand, draw back up to their hand limit, and then also you have a support deck which you can also take cards from to put into your deck as well. A cool thing about this game is your hand size is always 8 minus how many heroes / villains you have in the field. So if you're playing with 3 heroes, then your hand size is depleted by 3 automatically. Then after that, you have the action phase. The action phase is the meat of the game. This is where you're going to play all the cards from your hand. So you're going to play your plots, your missions, your heroes, your minor heroes, all that kind of stuff. You're going to play them onto the field, and you're going to do everything pretty much. One of the cool things as well is anytime you play a card, you will automatically replenish that card into your hand from your deck. Then finally, you have the swipe phase or the discard phase. In the swipe phase, you're going to take any cards you played on the field out, put them in your discard pile. Any minor characters you play, you're going to take those cards, place them in front of you, put out your little tokens for them into the city. And then you're going to go around and players going to keep proceeding through these phases player by player until one player has this set amount of mojo or points and is declared the winner. In the game, you're going to get 4 pre-constructed decks, 2 villain decks and 2 hero decks. You're going to also get another little deck of cards which you can use to customize those decks in future games. You're also going to get a whole heap of blank cards of all the different types so that you can actually create your own. You're going to get a whole heap of standees for all the characters and minor characters that are in the game, as well as some blank ones for your own ones that you invent. You're going to get a bucket load of tokens as well. And luckily, your game box is going to come with this handy little divider inside of it made out of cardboard, so you can separate all your decks and your tokens and all that kind of stuff. If you want to see me go through what's inside the game, then you can click on the link up here, or I'll have the link in the description down below. The component quality is good. It's not the best I've ever seen, but there are a couple of little things, like the cardstock isn't that thick. As you can see here, the cards are already very, very bent. So I would recommend probably getting card sleeves for your cards. I haven't shuffled through the decks enough to tell you how well the cards shuffle and what tear out you're going to get on the sides, but I imagine due to the thinness of the cards, you're probably going to get a little bit of tear out. So sleeves are probably a definite for this game if you get it. One very, very good thing about this game is the art. The art is exceptional. If you're a fan of 1960s, 70s style comic book art, then you're going to love this. It looks fantastic. All the art is done by G.S. James. It's very, very beautiful art the whole way through. It may not be to some people's flavor, like it's not as clean and precise as new style comic book art, but it is very, very nice and very well done. And it also just helps seal the theme of this game, which is superheroes. Okay, as for the gameplay, at first I found it a little bit tough to follow, really. The rulebook is a bit all over the place, and I found it hard to sort of find where each bit was, kind of thing. You really need to play this game through at least 4 or 5 times until you start actually getting the hang of it and not having to go, oh wait, what's that? Oh, that. And that can get very irritating when a game takes you that long to actually get into it. I do really enjoy the fact that each player doesn't actually have the same win conditions. So each deck, you have 3 mission cards inside the decks, and you're going to start with one of those mission cards out, and then throughout the game, you can potentially put more out. These are what give you your mojo points or your victory points by completing the task on those missions. And you can do them as multiple times as you like until you get to the set amount of mojo, which I think is really cool. And you can actually, when you customize your decks, you can customize those missions you choose. It gives it that nice feeling of, oh, we're not both going after 6 points and we both have to be here for 6 points kind of thing. It actually works really well, I think. Okay, tokens. There are a lot of tokens in this game. Personally, and this is my personal opinion, not anyone else's, other people may feel the same, but this is my opinion, I'm not a fan of games with lots of tokens, because if I've learned the game and it's taken me a while to get used to this token means this token means this token means this, I find when newer people come into the game, it's very hard for them because you're going to be placing all these tokens out going, yep, bang, 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 bang. And they're going to be sitting there going, oh, what's this token? What's this token? What's this token? What's this token? And it just takes a long time. And I personally think games that don't have tokens, they function more smoothly. 1 or 2 tokens is okay, but the amount of tokens that are in this game, there are a lot of tokens in this game. And I think it could just do with less, personally. The game is a very fun card game. It has some weird little quirks with the rulebook and all that kind of stuff, like I said, and it's going to take you a couple of times to actually get into the game. But once you do start to actually understand what's going on in the game, this game actually goes pretty quickly, and it's pretty fun, especially if you're going to play with 4 players. You're going to have 2 people playing the villains, 2 people playing the heroes. It's going to be all over the place. Each player is going to be constantly doing something like reacting to another player's card or something like that. And I like that. I dig that. It's very cool. The game is super thematic. From the city board to the comic book character cards, all the art in the game. It's very, very thematic. It says superhero. And that's cool, especially if you like superheroes. And I just want to reiterate, guys, this game does really hit its stride after you've played it a couple of times. That's like a lot of games though. So that's not a downside. It's just one of those things where you're going to have to play the game a couple of times to get it. It is going to be a bit hard for newer players to get into, I think. The other thing is the 4 decks they give you in the game, they're not super great decks. You do have a little bit of hard time playing some cards because this card has to be out, this card, this card, this card. But I think if you break those decks apart and then you build your own decks with the ones provided plus all those extra cards and the blank cards, I think you can get some really schmick decks going, and I reckon it'll be fantastic fun for all. So should you get Villains and Vigilantes the card game? That is the question. If you're a fan of comic book or superhero games, grab it. If you're a fan of the original Villains and Vigilantes RPG, then this one is 100% for you because it will be very reminiscent of that. Not that I've played that, but it will be reminiscent of that, I'm sure. All in all, guys, it's a fun card game which I recommend you at least play a couple of times. If you'd like to check out the game, I'll put a link in the description below from where you can get it from. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. This is One More Board Game Show, and I'll catch you next time.